Hi, everybody. This is Joe from PrepAgent. It is my pleasure and honor to be here with Chris Heller. Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm good, Joe. Happy to be and excited to be talking to you.
So, Chris, correct me if I say this incorrectly, but you are the Chief Real Estate Officer at OHO Labs. You are the CEO of Keller Williams, but more importantly, you've been doing this real estate thing since 1983. I think you just told me before we started recording.
I got my license. I was a sophomore in college. I was 20 years old when I got my real estate license.
Oh, did I just date you without your permission? I said 1983.
Yeah, it's people could Google it and find it out easy enough. So no
Not
big.
only did you start, but you were the top agent in the country or the world, was it? At what
I was let's see. I was rookie of the year in San Diego. I became like the number 3 agent in San Diego. I was in the top 10 in the US for the company I was with at the time, which was Prudential, which no longer exists. Now it's part of Berkshire Hathaway. We had like 37,000 agents. Then I joined Keller Williams, and by 2009, I was the number 1 Keller Williams agent in the world.
And now you've written a book. Tell me the name of your book.
Well, the name of the book is Dominant Thoughts.
So I'd like everybody to check it out. We're going to
grow.
Yeah.
We can put it in the chat and we can let people know about it, especially for newer agents or agents just getting started in anything. I think they'll find it very helpful.
Probably helpful for anybody starting out anything new in life with a career, correct?
Yeah, anything, I'll tell you a little about it real quick and then we move on to other questions. It's a short book. It's very thin. It's 118 pages. It's a business parable. And it's about there's 2 characters in the book, a mentor and a mentee. And basically I took all the lessons, not all lessons, some of the lessons I've learned, in what it took to become a top agent, what it took to become an executive in this industry and lead large companies, and wove that into this little story. So each chapter really hits on a specific topic or lesson. And what agents will find out, especially new agents, is 90% of what it takes to be successful in real estate is our mindset and how we think about things, how we react to things, and how we approach things.
So I want everybody to check that book out in the show notes below, but I want to hit on that. There's a number of topics I want to talk to you about. I wrote down a few, such as, just so everybody knows, marketing conditions, getting started as a new agent, marketing 101. Those are the 3 big things I want to talk about, but let's go with what you just said. So you talked about the mindset of a brand new agent being successful. And very often I talk to agents about what's different from when you started versus now. And there's so much that is different with technology. And, I know back in the day, door knocking was a big deal. And I know a lot of people still probably do it, but now there's this added bit with Instagram, Facebook, and it's just a different vibe. When somebody knocks on my door now, it has a different feeling than when somebody knocked on my door 30 years ago. But for all those changes, what you said just now, it didn't matter if it was now, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that mindset, correct?
Yeah, you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot that has changed, but there's a lot, and there's some foundational pieces that are still relevant, as relevant as they were 20 or 30 years ago, and probably as relevant as they'll be 10 or 20 or 30 years from now. And those are some universal, almost like universal truths when it comes to our mindset and establishing a strong mindset. In real estate, I always tell people in real estate, real estate's like a roller coaster. It's not for the faint of heart, right? There's ups and downs and twists and turns, and you can get one phone call and it'll be the greatest phone call that you've had in weeks or months, and then the next time the phone rings, it could be a disaster of one of your transactions. And how we deal with those things, how we approach those, how we communicate are the things that really set the great agents apart from the not so great agents.
So you have rules of communication that you follow?
Yeah, there's everything from what it means to over communicate, what it means to run at problems instead of stick your head in the sand and hope that they resolve themselves or go away, how to set expectations and why it's important to set expectations, how to underpromise and overdeliver, those type of concepts and thoughts.
Can you give me a real life example?
Sure. Underpromise and overdeliver. So you're my client and we're in a transaction and you have a question. I say, Joe, that's a great question. I don't have the answer. today's Monday. By Wednesday, I should be able to get you that answer and call you back. Does that work for you?
And what's great about that, and we talked a little about the difference in the times of now from 30 years ago. I'm a product of the modern era, I guess, because my business was built on YouTube and social media and whatnot. But what you just said applies to whether you talk to somebody in person, whether you're making a post, sending an email, the message is still the same. The method of how it got delivered may change, but it's important people take note that no matter how you deliver that message and how you do it, people get creative with, oh, I like LinkedIn, I like Instagram, I like talking to people in person, I like wearing my name tag at Starbucks, whatever it may be, I like door knocking. But that message you just said is constant.
Yeah, now here's the key. I
Okay.
say, hey, I'll be back to you by Wednesday. And then I already know before I say that I'm going to have the answer later today or tomorrow. And so I'm going to call you later today, tomorrow and say, hey, Joe, good news. I got the answer to your question. Here's what it is. We're good to go. Now, what I've done is I set an expectation that you're going to hear from me by Wednesday. You hear from me later today or tomorrow. On your end, it feels like, wow, this guy's on the ball. Wow, this guy, I must be important. Yeah, I must be his only client. I must be his most important client. Those are all the things you're thinking because I under promised and I over delivered. And that's a simple way of doing it. But the key is setting the expectations. In the absence of me setting any expectations with you, you're going to have your own expectations. And one of the biggest challenges that I see agents have is and you hear it from consumers, right? The consumers' constant complaint about agents are they're hard to get a hold of, they're not responsive, I have to track them down, I have to pull information out of them. What we want to be doing is being proactive. What we want to be doing is, again, under promising and over delivering. It's easier to do that when you set the expectations and tell the consumer, hey, here's what's going to happen next, or here's what we're going to do, or here's when you're going to hear from me. And then since we've set that bar of whatever that is, now it's up to us to achieve something more than that.
So let me play devil's advocate with you for a moment, because I really like that concept because it makes everybody a lot happier. I was working with contractors on one of my real estate deals recently, and you probably have experience with contractors. They're all bidding for the business. So they're going to say, well, I'll get it done by Monday. And the guy you say is, I'm going to get it done by Wednesday, even though the guy who said Wednesday is honest and he's going to show up Monday with it as per your teachings, and it's going to be great. I'm going to be happy. In my head on that first time, but he said he's going to have it Monday, even though he may actually have it Wednesday. So I guess what I'm saying is, when they say I'm going to have my Wednesday, is there a potential of them losing that business to that guy who's doing the opposite of what you're saying? Overstating, because, for the seller or for the owner, it's like, oh, that's Monday, that's Wednesday,
Right. So when I use that example, remember I said I set the context that we're in a transaction.
Right. Okay.
So if it's a situation where I'm trying to win the business or win the relationship or get a commitment, I'm going to again, when in my under promising, over delivering, and my setting of my expectations, I'm going to do it in a way where I know I can always exceed the expectation I've set. Yeah. So if I say, hey, Joe, I'm going to have some information dropped off to you today. Well, I may have it dropped off and emailed, so you get a digital version and a hard copy version. And you're going, wow, I didn't realize that was going to happen. Or, an hour later, there's a knock on your door and there's a package on your doorstep of information from me that you were like, wow, I didn't know that was going to happen. It's those type of things where we can, again, exceed expectations or over deliver on what someone was thinking was going to happen because we told them what to think.
Right. And I guess the reality is most of these questions are pretty similar. They may be new to this client, but it's pretty easy to be prepared for all these questions that come your way.
Yeah, I think the longer you're in the business, the easier it is because you have the experience and you've dealt with more things. But even for a new agent, I mean, one of the things that's really important for a new agent is to have the proper training and support and mentorship so that you can be prepared for the things that are likely to come up. And that's really important, especially for newer agents when they're trying to select a brokerage or figure out where they're going to work. And those are some of the boxes they need to make sure that they can check.
Yeah. Well, that's a great tip. And you got a lot more tips. So I want everybody to check your information out in the show notes below. Let me get to something that's come up a lot recently, in the less grander scheme, but something that's applicable right now. And I have my thoughts on this, but you are way more qualified to answer this. I get a lot of people who are passing the exam. They're entering the business. And I've gotten this question as long as I've been helping people pass the exam, since 2005. Is this a good time to enter real estate? Is it a good time? Is it a good time? Is it a good time? My immediate thought to that is, if you're asking that question, then it's never a good time, because everything goes up and down. And if you're constantly trying to time this perfect jump, like you're going to jump in and then boom, there's a Bel Air mansion waiting for you, and boom, it's kind of, I personally can think of the pros and cons for any time, but I want to give this to you as our resident expert. So my new student comes to you, says, Mr. Heller, is this a good time? I'm scared. Did I do this at the wrong moment?
Yeah. So here's my answer. Timing has nothing to do with whether you're going to be successful or not. Right? There's lots of different types of markets, and people will call some markets good markets and some markets bad markets. The reality is there's just markets, and the thing that changes is how we approach things, the dialogues that we have with the consumers, the different types of expectations we set. Like in a market where a seller is going to get 20 offers in 3 days, we have to set certain expectations, explain the process, what's going to happen. In a market where they may not get 3 showings in 20 days, we have to, again, set expectations. Those different types of conversations, educating the client on the things that are unique to the current market or the dynamics of the current market. If an agent's really doing all the things they should be doing to be successful, their income, their opportunities won't be impacted by the market. I've had some of my biggest years when the market was in a free fall. I've had some of my most challenging years when the market was, acting like a rocket ship. So and I still have a real estate team to this day in San Diego. This is our 33rd year of having this team in San Diego. And so we're still dealing with buyers and sellers and helping them buy and sell homes. If you're going to be the average or typical or normal agent, then your business will rise and fall with the tide of the market. If you get really good and do the things that good agents do, regardless of what's happening in the market, you can be very successful in this industry. Now, most agents don't do that. They don't have the mindset to do it. They don't develop the discipline to do it. But hopefully the person that's watching this or listening to this has the desire and the willingness to do what it takes. And if they do, there's people out there that can show them what they need to do to be successful. That's
a great point. So all those people who are watching this, if you're sitting here watching it, as Chris and I are about 20 minutes in, then you already are setting yourself apart, because a lot of people just get their license and expect to follow them. So I want everybody to give that boost of confidence, because they hear, am I going to be good or not? If you're sitting here watching this, you're already taking the right steps and you feel good about that. And hopefully they'll follow up with everything you're doing. The other point is, when do most agents really hit their stride? Average, you think?
Yeah,
I want to get to a point with it. There's a reason I ask you that.
Yeah. So look, at the reality is most agents don't. And the ones that do fall into a couple different categories. The ones that are really, again, have that strong desire, have the willingness to do whatever it takes, and their ego doesn't get in the way, meaning that they're willing to ask questions, get help, get guidance, and then go do what they need to do, can hit their stride very quickly. I started on it was December 1st of the year I started, had my first listing by the end of the year and my first contract by January. And that following year, from January through December, closed 27 transactions. So that was a very fast start, but that didn't happen by luck or by chance or because of a market. Now, a lot of agents get in the business, they don't do anything for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months. They're spend too much time trying to learn everything instead of just the things they need to learn. They get distracted by all the different ways of doing business instead of focusing on 1 or 2 or 3 ways of getting and doing business. So back to your question, how long does it take for an agent to hit their stride? Again, a lot of them don't. They don't make it. Some of them do, and they hit it very quickly, and others it takes a little longer. So, but the good news is it's up to the individual. And as long as you're in the right environment and you have the right support and tools that you need, the only thing between you hitting your stride fast and taking longer is you.
Yeah, and I guess I asked that because we talked about when it's a good time to get on the market. And when you get in, there's going to be a learning curve. I mean, you got yours after a month, it sounds like. That's pretty quick. But, and I guess my question's a little off because a stride is different for all people, you know, whatever that could mean. But I guess what I was getting at is when that person hits a stride, the market might change by then. Things could change and go up and down. So when you enter, may not be the same situation as when you're really in your rhythm, selling a lot, which could be a month later, 6 months later, you know, whenever it may be.